Hi, this is Julia M. Spencer. I'm a real estate advisor, investor, and your number one source for real estate advice online. Thank you for checking out my YouTube channel here, and thanks for checking out my videos. And with this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about wholesale investing. I recently had a question from a subscriber, Deborah. Hi Deborah, this video is specifically answering your question. And it talks about wholesale investing, and I don't think you actually knew that what you asked me had to do with wholesale investing, but I'm going to kind of paraphrase the question and kind of give an answer to your question. So the question was, you wanted to do is to go to banks and buy properties that banks owned, foreclosures, and buy them. But buy them with the mindset to immediately sell them to another investor that's standing by, that you already have identified. But you didn't want to get involved in actually owning the property. You wanted to just kind of be the middle person to facilitate the transaction. So what you're describing was wholesale investing, and it could be quite lucrative, but I've made videos about this before to be very, very careful that if you write yourself into that contract as a third party that doesn't own the property, when it transfers from the first person, the bank obviously, to the investor, that if you're not involved as a third party and you collect a fee, then you actually have to have a real estate license to do that. You can't do that as a private investor. What you can do, however, is you can write yourself into the contract as part owner and kind of write the contract in a way that the funds will come from the other investor, and that you get a portion from the proceeds once that money is paid off to the original owner, the bank, from the investor, that you get a cut of that. You can certainly do that. You have to be very, very good at contract writing. You have to write clauses in there where you can assign the contract. Maybe assign it for a fee. You have to check the laws in your state and also federal laws. This is what people talk about when they talk about wholesale investing. They kind of accumulate their little network of investors that want to buy houses, and then you as a third party go out and try to find these bank foreclosures or these real estate owned REOs that undoubtedly a lot of mortgage companies have and banks have. And so the other thing that I wanted to point out though with that question is with bank-owned foreclosures, with REOs, first off, the process that you're describing is not difficult and it's easy to do. And writing a contract, eventually once you figure out the contract, you can just reuse that contract over and over, so it's not that big of a deal to use some sort of a template contract and use it over and over again. What your difficulty is going to be is also not going to be trying to find deals. Your difficulty is going to be in trying to negotiate the prices and the contracts with the banks, not with the investors. So traditionally, what I found talking to banks about real estate that they own that has gone through the foreclosure process at the auction and nobody purchased it, maybe because the amount owed was too large or maybe superseded the actual market value of the properties, it's going to be really hard to find somebody at the bank that can negotiate that deal with you. There's always like several officials that have to verify the information. So it just seems like people at the banks kind of like give the responsibility over to the next person. There's like usually not really easy to find a central point of responsibility that can make the decision. Also, the whole negotiation process, since it has to go through several departments and several people, just can be excruciatingly long. So this is where your frustration is going to be. Now, if you have a lot of willpower and energy and time to dedicate to be on the phones and keep talking back and forth, all the power to you. But that's going to be your difficulty with wholesale investing. It's probably much easier to find deals from individual owners and maybe do some sort of front running. I will explain front running in a different kind of video in order to get the inventory that you need to satisfy your investors. So the other question I had by Deborah is that she was located in the Myrtle Beach area, which means she wanted to see if I knew anybody in that local area that could teach her how to do that. No, I don't know anybody in Myrtle Beach. I go to Myrtle Beach on vacation usually. I don't do a lot of investing there. And also my primary business is tax sale foreclosures. And typically tax sale foreclosures are extremely easy to sell because you have just a huge kind of profit margin that you can play with, which means you can buy the best real estate agents to sell it for you. You can spend money on advertising and marketing, and you just have more funds in that profit margin to apply to selling those properties. When you go to bank foreclosures, and I bought several REOs, bank foreclosures in the past, typically they'll give you a good deal, and this is what is called a short sale, basically offering a price less than what was the default amount after they got the property. Let's say if somebody was foreclosed on a $200,000 property that subsequently the value of the property maybe 180 or something, and went back to the bank. Obviously nobody wanted to pay at the auction more than the property is actually worth. That the bank is now sitting on this $200,000 default house, which is only worth $180,000. You can sometimes get away by offering them a short sale amount, basically offering them an amount short in what they're owed, and get a good deal, but it's still going to be quite a big amount. I've typically seen them reduce the price maybe at the most to 20% of market value. That's at the very most. And this is for desirable properties. This might not apply to properties that are less desirable. The properties that I bought that were REOs were very desirable, were in vacation areas, and were could have been sold very easily on the market to close to market value, or maybe just a little bit less. So the banks weren't willing to negotiate a price that was significantly lower than the market value. And if you can't get that kind of property in REO for significantly lower than market value, it's not going to be feasible for you to sell it to another investor and still get a cut, because that difference between market value and what you get it for is just not big enough for an investor to pour their effort and money in, and probably even cash. They just go to a realtor and buy a regular house on the market and get it financed. So this is where your difficulties are going to be with wholesale investing. You're going to have to get very significant good deals from banks, and those are going to be hard to find, especially for desired real estate. Yeah, so that's my 2 cents on that. I hope I try not to discourage you, of course. If you want to get into that route, you can always ask me questions. My website is at the bottom of this video. Subscribe to my newsletter, check out my ebooks. I'm actually working on a new ebook on tax sale foreclosure investing, but I'm already thinking about my next project. Hopefully I can do something with wholesale investing, overage investing, front running, all those things that I have in my mind of making books for. And just subscribe to my newsletter, watch that website for new books, and also subscribe to my YouTube channel so you can be notified whenever I put out new videos. And also, anybody and everybody that's watching this video, if you have any more comments or suggestions or answers for Deborah, just put them at the bottom of this video. And people, interact. I love your comments. I read them all. I don't always timely respond to them, but I do read them right away. It might take me a while to respond. And I appreciate all of those comments and messages and emails that I get, good and bad. So don't forget to subscribe. Thank you, and have an awesome day investing.
For your free guide to real estate investing, visit juliamspencer.com.